Hello, today I decided I want to play with Shrinky Dink. If you don't know what Shrinky Dink is, where have you been? Anyways, basically it's a plastic that you could draw on, cut it out, put it in a toaster oven or use an embossing tool or something, and it shrinks. And usually it shrinks like 3 times the size, but I don't know, it depends, I guess. There's different types. You got your frosted, which you could use color pencils and soft chalk pastels or anything like that you would like to use. And you got your crystal clear, which Sharpies work wonderful on this one. And then you got your inkjet ones that you can actually print pictures and stuff out. And this one is Rough and Ready, which is pretty much the same as the frosted. And I'm using the frosted because I like using colored pencils. So I'll show you something. It's not so great. We had issues. We ignored the issues. It's okay. So I decided to see how my Shrinky Dink shrinks. So I took out a sheet, made a 6 inch by 6 inch piece, and then I put the marks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, I didn't put the 6 because I cut the 6 off, and I wasn't watching it, and I put it in the toaster oven, not paying attention, and it kind of we won't go into that, and it kind of felt, yeah, it was I love you anyways, you work what I want you to do. It's okay, you can have issues just like me. Anyways, this is good to see how big your final outcome of your Shrinky Dink is going to be. And that's what I use this for. So I'm wanting to make some charms that are about a 2 inch by 3 inch size. So they're going to be about yay size. So when I'm drawing out my idea on a piece of paper, I'm going to draw them out 2 by 3 inch. And I decided I'm gonna make me some mac and cheese and cheese and broccoli. Don't judge. It's what I decided to do, and I like little faces because I think they're cute. So first I rough sketched out what I wanted, and then once I rough sketched out, then I came back and drew again over what I did on another piece of paper, and this is what I'm going to use to trace out on my Shrinky Dink. And if you can't see the paper to trace, you could stick it up to a window when it's daylight outside and you can see through it and you can trace. Now, or if you have a handy dandy little light box, which is, this one's pretty cool. I mean, it's really thin and it uses a micro USB adapter, which you could plug in any like cell phone type plug in. But I use a portable battery when I use mine, which I didn't bring it over here. But that's okay. But it turns on, and it's like putting it up against the window, but it's a little light box. Or it's not really a box, but it works like a light box. And I really like it. And I use it a lot. So once you have the design that you want, you come back, put your Shrinky Dink on here. Now, there's different ways to do it. Now, since I am using the Rough and Ready, which I guess I should show it. Rough and Ready. What's cool about this stuff is one side it's rough. Now some people like to get the clear and get sandpaper and rough it up themselves, that way it's more even texture, but I'm kind of too lazy for that. And then the other side is really shiny, which you can't really see it in my lighting, and oh, you see a little bit of it. Yeah, it's shiny side. So on the shiny side, what I do, you don't have to do this. You can do it however you want. When I lay it down, I take a Sharpie on the shiny side and I trace it out. And then I flip it over and I color the back side with the colored pencils. I already forgot what I was talking about. But I already drew them out. I'm not going to do that. But I don't like putting the Sharpie on the frosted side or the part that's all scratched up, because The Sharpies will bleed in all the cracks from all the sanding that the factory had done, and it's not very attractive. So that's why I use the Sharpie on the shiny side, and then I use the color pencil on the not shiny side, the flat side or the rough side or whatever side you want to call it. Well, I already drew up my little doodads here. I got my cheese, I got my broccoli, and I got my macaroni. So I got my 3 pieces already drawn out, and I cut them out just because it's going to make it easier for me. Now you have to be careful, because even though it is Sharpie, if you touching it too much before it's shrunken, it's going to come off. There's no way of getting around it. You got to be careful, because if you're touching it when you're cutting it and putting your fingers all over it, like the oil from your hand will start taking off the Sharpie, and then when you're done coloring with the color pencil part, you want to make sure you go back and flip it over, look at your Sharpie, and you might have to come back with the Sharpie pen and touch up your boo-boos. Now, if you don't want to use the Sharpie, you can do it all in the colored pencils and do it all on the frosted side, but that's up to you. The colored pencils that I like to use, I've got Faber-Castell. Now, these are watercolor pencils, which I like watercolor pencils, and then I got the Prismacolor Premier ones. These are the ones, I don't know. I like these 2 brands. They might not be the best quality of said brands, but you know what? They work, and I like them. Now, I do have Crayola, but no offense to Crayola. Their color pencils are too waxy, and I don't like the way they lay down, and they're not very good. So now that you got your little thingies cut out, you need to punch holes in them before you bake them. Because if you don't punch holes in them, then you're going to have to get the drill out or something. And it's just so much easier to do it this way. So using the hole puncher, I'm going to punch some holes. So I don't forget to punch some holes in my pieces. There we go. My hairy arms, go figure. Alright, I'm going to put the hole weird. I'm going to put it on the corner on that one. And I'm going to put the hole here. Looks like a good spot. Ooh, there it went. So now it's ready. They're ready to be baked. Alright, so now at my toaster oven, I got it set for baking at 400. Now, I think there are different temperatures per Shrinky Dink, I don't know. But this is the one that works for me. And I got my little doodad. If I could do this one-handed, that would be great. Get on there. And then you just watch him. And then eventually he will start shrinking. My first victim. The little cheese. Oh, I can't hold it still. I should have probably dropped. Ignore the reflection of my table. I have so many craft projects going on right now. My house is a mess. Ooh, look at that. And it's shrinking. It always scares me when it shrinks. Because you're like, sometimes if you're not careful, you have issues. And it sticks together. And you don't want issues. You don't want it to stick together. Sometimes they're perfect and they're nice and they do what you want them to do, and other times they're ornery and you're like, oh, you have to babysit. Here's my little cheese. Looks like it should be done. It looks done. Alright, so let's take it out, and then I use a book and flatten it while it's cooling. Alright, and look at that, there's the first little one, the little cheese. How cute. Of course I made a whole bunch, so let's do the rest. Look at the cute little itty bitty charms. Macaronis and my cheeses and my broccolis. It's a raining fall day, and now I'm gonna quickly spray a clear sealant on the backs of them, because if you don't, you might cry later on. You don't want the color pencil to come off. Now you don't have to do this step, but I do after I put the spray finish on it. I'm going to put some polyacrylic clear gloss over the backs of the color pencil part of it. Now you don't have to, but I like to, and the reason why I like to use the spray first, I only have matte. I don't have a gloss spray. I only got a matte spray, so that's why I'm going to do the gloss polyacrylic on top. But if I would have just took the polyacrylic and put it on here, because I used some of my pencils are watercolor pencils, it will activate the watercolor in the pencil, which I don't want it to activate, and that's why I put the spray on first. So now I'm going to just give these a coat of polyacrylic on the back. So the next thing, I'm going to dome the tops of them, because I think doming it with resin makes it look pretty good. So this, I like using these when I'm doming small pieces, because as you can see, I have accidents. And these help save my pieces. What this is a, you know the perler beads, the little beads that you put on the pegs and then you iron them and they melt together and they make like little pixelated pictures? Well, this is one of those things for the perler beads, but I use it for doming resin pieces instead. So I'm going to use a 2-part epoxy resin. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. You could use UV resin, you could use any resin that you want. I mean, I think it gives the pieces a nice finish when they're done. I'm not going to record it because I can't do that and hold this at the same time, but that's what I'm going to do. Fire! Popping bubbles. Because bubbles not so great all the time. Sometimes you want the bubbles, other times no. And of course I mixed more resin than I should have. So I put it in some molds for some experimentation. But woo, the domes, they're all shiny. Now I gotta wait 24 hours. Boo.